I just wanted to talk to you all about investing. So currently at the moment, there's a lot of hype going on about Bitcoin and Ethereum and all these cryptocurrencies. The equity market, shares, housing's going off. There's all sorts of stuff going on in the market at the moment. We've had this big COVID drama, which is still going on everywhere in the world. New Zealand's actually pretty insulated from it because, they've done the right thing, really. Can't really say much more than that. So I guess what I wanted to talk about was the price of Bitcoin and whether you really need to sell it right now, because Bitcoin's the highest it's ever been, and I think personally it is the cheapest we'll see it for quite some time. If you listen to Cathie Woods, if you listen to Raoul Pal, you listen to Michael Saylor, you listen to all these guys. Michael Saylor's a really good logical thinker, I think. He's a good businessman, and I think he's got some really good points with how he's logically come up with Bitcoin as being pretty much the internet of money, and eventually, potentially, it could end up being the new version of how the fiat currency system used to be pinned against gold. But this time round, I think, and this is my own personal thought, is that these cryptocurrencies will become the financial rails of like Visa and MasterCard, PayPal, Square, sitting on top of the reserve of Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin's so rare, there's only really going to be ever about 16.6 million, because we've mined 18.6 million out of 21 million fixed. There's never going to be any more, and there's already been 30% lost. So that's a fair bit, and that's from people losing their private keys and access in their wallets and phones and all that sort of stuff, and they haven't backed them up properly. So that's the reality of a decentralized system. You've got no bank manager to ring, no national bank manager or guy to sort out, because there's no central control. So if you put the wrong number in and you hit that send button, it's gone. No matter of how much money you've lost. If you were sending it to a person to purchase an item, you've done your dough, and that's all it's all on you. And that's the difference. Is being fully decentralized. There's no person or persons you can contact to fix your stuff up, basically. End of the day, you got to look at all the asset classes, and Bitcoin's probably one of the newest. So it's well and truly 12, 13 years old, 2009 to 2021. What I liked about Michael Saylor is he was talking about, before, back in 2008 when the big financial crash happened, there was quite a few $1 trillion of money printed, and things were inflating at a value of around about 5%, which in his terms, that's acceptable. It's not too much slippage. Especially when you've got surplus cash, you want to put it into bonds, etc., etc. The problem now is, since COVID, we've had like a massive influx of money. USA's been printing, which is the global reserve currency, has been printing, I think it was over $4 trillion last year. And that was, that there is 80 years worth of printing. So 1972, the gold was the reserve, and all fiat currencies globally were pinned. Well, the US currency especially was pinned to gold, or so basically exchange for gold. So if you wanted money, you had to put gold in to exchange the cash of the equivalent value. That was unpegged at 1971-72 by Nixon, and since then monetary systems devalued by 96% up till the beginning of last year, and then they printed another 80 years worth of money in 1 year. So it's absolutely toast in my opinion, and look at all the super inflation that's going on. There's so much cash around, it's worthless basically, because I mean, look at the price of houses going up. It's ridiculous. We're in New Zealand and we've got massive inflation in property prices because interest rates are low, banks are lending money, government's trying to boost the economy to try and keep it going, because there was a lot of businesses that had to close down and no productivity, etc. So there's cheap money, and so it's basically a Dutch auction. Nobody's putting a price on a house, it's just a Dutch auction basically. You put your price in, and if you're the best price, you win the house. If not, you're going to miss out with the other 29, 30, 40 people, and guess what, you're going to put in a better price to the next house, because otherwise you're going to miss out on that too. So the houses themselves, they haven't actually, it's the same house, it's actually devaluing as far as materials and paint and all that sort of stuff. It's a land that's increasing in value, but it's super inflated at the moment. And what Michael Saylor is talking about, losing 15 to 20% a year, is if you're basically putting in, let's just say $500 million in cash, and you can buy $500 million worth of residential and commercial property right now. In 5 years' time, that property and all that commercial property, if you just left your money in the bank and still had that $500 million, that property will be moonbeams higher than that value. So you would never be able to buy the same amount of property. You'd probably have to buy a quarter or a half of what it is. So if it's losing 15, if cash is losing 15% through to slippage a year, then in 5 years it's almost 60% loss. Well, it is 60%. So 50 to 60% loss in value. So in 8 years, it's worthless. It's just crazy to think about. What I like about, I've been involved in Bitcoin for a little while. I basically wrote it off back in 2017 when it was its last peak. I thought it was a Ponzi scheme, really, because it was really just retail investors involved in it. But at the end of the day, when you think about what you think money or value is, it's really just a belief system anyway. It's nothing to do with actually something having, it's really believing in its value. And unfortunately for fiat currency systems, which generally only last between 30 and 60 years anyway, because they just get corrupted like they all have been. Global corruption in governments printing money to fix up their inadequacy, really, to run a country like a business, because people don't like the country run like a business, because people miss out. So that's why they get thrown from a Republican to capitalist side to the people's side governments, liberals and all that sort of stuff, and Labour and National as New Zealand, etc. So really, if you're thinking about investing and you've got surplus cash, I believe that Bitcoin is going to be the financial reserve of the world, and other currencies will be built to sit on top of the rails, because at the end of the day, like you look at XRP, for example, cryptocurrency, there's lots and lots of cryptocurrencies out there, but XRP is actually quite interesting because it's basically becoming the Visa of the digital world. So it's got the ability to, you can trade on the XRP platform. You can trade crypto to crypto, crypto to fiat currency and any currency in the world, and currency to currency. All of the above. So you can go crypto to crypto, crypto to currency, currency to currency, currency to crypto. It's basically a universal plug-in financial rail system. So it will just be a matter of time before that becomes able to be levered against as far as leverage debt onto it. And once that happens, which won't be too far away, you can do it now in a rough sort of way with Bitcoin and Ethereum. But once that becomes mainstream and more apps are built for it, more and more financial systems are built on top of it, I think Bitcoin itself will go up hugely amount. Like at the moment it's about 1.2 trillion, $1.3 trillion worth of US its market cap. Gold's 10 trillion, silver's 1.3 trillion. And it's pretty much surpassing silver, almost surpassing silver at the moment, and on its way to gold. And so if we get these institutions coming on board, which they are definitely coming on board, onto the Bitcoin platform, and also then these other cryptocurrencies basically sit on top of either Bitcoin or Ethereum. Bitcoin's the more secure one, because it's non-corruptible. It actually has a fixed value. Its core value can't change. There's only ever going to be a finite number of coins produced, and that's the key. Ethereum, it's really not that decentralized. It's controlled by Vitalik, and it's really not, it hasn't got the fixed number, because they can just basically get in there and program some more and just feed some more currency out there. So really it's not really that much different to a fiat currency system, except for the ability to do contracts and stuff, which you can do that on Bitcoin. Bitcoin developers or the developers are making apps and functional software applications to sit on top of the layer 1 Bitcoin blockchain protocol, which is really interesting. And so yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens to these cryptos. So at the end of the day, you've got to be comfortable and be able to sleep at night, because Bitcoin, especially if you've actually put some money into it, really think about what sort of percentages you want to risk. And if you're not prepared to, if you can't sleep at night because you can't handle the price going down 50 to 70 to 80, 90% over a period of a week, and then sit there for a few years, couple of years until the cycle returns, then you need to rescale down your venture into Bitcoin. I mean, if you're in the older generation, you might just want to put 1% risk of your total net worth, and just as a hedge against the fiat currency system collapsing. And I'm not saying this is henny penny, the sky's falling, but what I am saying is at least put a little bit of a stake in there, and that 1% may be your saviour. Or if not, and it all turns kaput, then at least you can recover from that, not a problem, no matter what age you are, really. So then if you're looking at doing multiple cryptocurrencies, then work out your percentage ratios for each one. You might want to go, you might want to allocate, say, 10% of your total net worth into crypto, and then go 5% of that's going to be Bitcoin, so 50% of that investment, and then you might buy 10% Ethereum, 10% this, 10% that. So anyway, entirely up to you. I just thought I'd give my feedback. I think if you look at a lot of material from Cathie Woods, from Power Real, and from Michael Saylor especially. He is paving the way for other big corporations and institutional money to come into this sector. So that is only going to put pressure on. There's no supply now because all the suppliers pretty much got their roughly 1,600 coins mined daily around the world, and those are pretty much gobbled up by the money exchanges, the crypto exchanges, PayPal and Square. That's it, done. So there's no surplus at the moment. So that's going to have an effect on the price, especially if we've got buyers coming in. And yeah. So anyway, that's my 5 cents worth. If you like it, subscribe below, and we'll talk soon. Cheers. Westy over now.